With that, we'll go to 12B2, report regarding facilities maintenance and operation projects. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This is a monthly report for the FMO department, and Mr. Ruben Trevino will present this month's projects. This is for information only.
Yeah.
Okay. You broke it already, Ruben?
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Gonzalez. I will be presenting on the facilities maintenance and operations project for the month of September. Our first project that we have here is ongoing is the roof replacement along with the rooftop units at Lincoln, which is Berkeley College High School. This is funded through our local 199 hail damage funds. Our next project here is our staff development parking lot, which is located on the north side of the new staff development building at Lincoln and Berkeley College campus. And this is a locally funded project, the local 199 funds. The next slide is the Brown Middle School new 8-lane competition track. As you can see on the picture, construction is already underway. This is a joint funding project, locally funded 199 funding along with CDBG funds for this particular project. The next slide is the Gonzalez Park fencing addition. This is the PTO donation funding the fence modifications for the Gonzalez Park. This here is the Gonzalez Playground, which is ongoing, nearly completed. It is also a PTO donation that happened over the latter part of the summer. This next project is also a local 199 funded project that will be going to the board. This is phase 2 out of 2 phases over the Memorial Cafeteria Edition. Here you see what the serving line areas will look like, now expanding it to from 2 to 4 serving lines over at the Memorial High School kitchen. We have other ongoing projects that are pending board approval, of course. This is the city school park fencing, which is CDBG funded. This is a group of projects that are on a contract. This does not entail all of them, but this is only what the CDBG city has sent to us for approval of the first contract of 2 more to be coming to the board. The next slide is the intercom replacements, which are TRE funded, Houston and Kathy. Milam and Seguin already being completed. Surveillance systems at Fossum, Kathy, Brown, and Travis are ongoing. And these are all TRE funded projects as well. Another ongoing project that we have is phase 1 of the Ag Farm. Here you see a draft layout of what the proposal was on one of our previous meetings on future areas to be considered for any future barns, any future buildings, and then the existing areas that currently have either a barn or a portable building or anything of that sort over at the ag facility. The city approved one more step of the phase this past week, and October the 2nd we'll be going for the final subdivision approval through the City Planning and Zoning Commission this coming Monday.
Which entails what, Ruben? Or what was the part that they approved? Is it on the diagram there?
They're approving the whole project, Mr. Esparza. This has been a process that we've gone through for the permitting process, being that it was an undivided tract of land when we first started.
Right.
And then we went into the survey. So we've gotten already approval from the McAllen Public Utility Board. We've gotten approval from Hidalgo County Drainage District. We've gotten approval from the City of McAllen Engineering Department. We've gotten approval from the P&Z on the preliminary plans. And the last approval that we got from the city was the conditional use permit for the life of the area for institutional use. The one that we're going for now is a final approval of the subdivision plot, which is what the Planning and Zoning Commission will approve at their meeting on October the 1st.
Trustee Esparza, can I follow up?
Sure.
Ruben, maybe I missed it somewhere, but on phase one, what exactly are we doing?
Phase one is the additional parking areas with an additional drive with a turn where you see in between the two.
It's the yellow.
Yes, correct. It's all the main infrastructure.
Okay. So the yellow is what we're doing, and then the green is for phase two
The green is just the areas that will be available to use
for
for
potential?
phase two, potential growth, yes.
Okay, and then on the pending phase two areas for future buildings, where you have the existing barns, and I know they're not where they need to be, but that's what we would fix in the green, potentially?
The green is open area that would be available if we want to add new barns to that area.
Right,
What's in blue is what's existing.
right.
Once we build on the green, if we want to demo what's in blue, that
That's
would
what I'm
also be
asking.
an option. Yes.
Okay.
Now, we also
We haven't decided that. It's just phase one, it's just a paving, putting in streets, and, because I know when it rains, it gets pretty muddy out there.
Yes, sir.
And then the bathroom, that's nowhere in phase one or phase two yet.
Currently, there's facilities there, but that would come with phase two as part of the building.
Okay. Are we, and I don't see Ms. Zamora, but are we close, Dr. Gonzalez, to bringing the naming rights? Is that something we're not?
We're working right now towards getting a prototype so that Ms. Zamora can have something to present for
Perfect.
Possible naming rights.
Thank you, sir.
And on the last slide, you see the,
No, that's fine, go ahead, you let him finish, it's all
on
right.
the last slide, you see the submitted and completed work orders for the month of August.
What's that picture of? I'm sorry, before,
Kitchen.
that's right.
That picture right there was the Strides house when
I
it
had
was
to
doing
work,
the
sir.
construction. And that was part of the, that's a kitchen area.
Mr. Fuentes just gave me a hard time for not showing. I had to work today, sir. I apologize.
Yeah, some of us have to work.
So do we.
I really want to be there, but I'll go see it soon.
Because I have to work tomorrow morning.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President. Mr. Trevino, on the ongoing projects for the intercom and surveillance, and it says TRE funds, were those items that were approved in the previous budget and allocated funds from that previous budget?
Yes, sir.
So that's, okay, thank you.
Mr. Trevino, on the staff development parking at Lincoln, I saw today at the grand opening of the Strides classroom, we had cars that were parked to the north of the Strides building. Is that going to be part of the parking lot, or was that just overflow parking
No, those
for
were
today?
modifications that we made based on a meeting that we had last week in preparation for today's function of this morning. Because we're having to use the staff development together with Lincoln, the decision was made to park Lincoln staff, since they get there early, park them in the back, work with PD as well to retain all that parking area in front for any visitors or anybody coming in for the presentation this morning. So that was just temporary.
On the Brown Middle School track, are we building that up, or is that going to be level with the field?
That is being built up and with adequate drainage
Awesome.
per plans and specs. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
President. Thank you for your report and everything you and your staff are doing. I ran into some of the teachers and the principal from Memorial at last night's event, college event, and they were all happy with how fast the students are going through the lines, getting their meals, and still have time to do other things. So this improvement is very well welcomed, everything you've done that. And one teacher in particular who happened to go to school there was very glad that that pit was no longer there, because she had tripped and fallen there when she was a student, so she wanted us to know that. But getting to the standard for playground equipment, we've had this conversation many a time, and it doesn't go unnoticed that more affluent gets a big donation and others go wanting. So where are we in that regard about making sure that all the playgrounds are up to date, and if there's a schedule to that, if you could share it with the board?
We would be happy to come back with a full report on the condition of every playground at every elementary. However, we are going, I believe, on our fourth meeting with the City Parks and Recreation Department. Ms. Benavides, myself, have been meeting with them on revisiting our MOUs that are currently and bringing something that is going to be effective for both departments, both entities, the city and us. So as part of that proposal that we're still working on for one of the city commission slash school board joint meetings, we will be proposing who will be taking charge of that. And we are putting together a replacement schedule for all of our playground facilities.
I know that there's been discussion with the various organizations, Capable Kids among others, regarding for special needs access. And I know, can you give us an update on that either tonight or a later date as to what schools are going to initially be modified to have access for children in wheelchairs or?
In the next board meeting, we'll be bringing in the new contracts that were just delivered to us yesterday by the city for the additional playground structures. So we can explain the process and the playground projects that are being proposed.
In one of the joint meetings between the city commission and the school board, we discussed some facility use after hours and who had ultimate responsibility if there were issues on that, i.e. law enforcement. And it was made clear to us that, for example, at Mac High, the tennis courts, that is school property, and even after hours, it'd be the McAllen ISD Police Department that would respond and address anything that's happening. In that discussion, there was suggestions made that we put up signage to indicate to the public that, you know, how this facility is supposed to be used, i.e. you can't use it for personal gain, you know, to charge and take up those spaces from the public. And the others, in the event there's concern or disruption, what number to call. So again, I'd like, you know, to know where we are in that regard of putting up signage where you have these facilities being used by the public, that, you know, who's ultimately responsible, if they have any questions or concern, who they can contact.
Correct.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Sam. So the Brown was done through CDBG funds, and I know you're part of that process. What's the chances if we were to submit for another school, you know, like Travis, or, you know, would they consider it?
Well, there's two ways you can get CDBG fund, federal funds. First, it goes to the state, to the city. And that allotment gets tighter and tighter. Some of it's for construction, and then city has an option they can use up to 15% for social services. And so these are constructions, and so that's on the 85% side. There's, again, two ways. One is it's within a poverty area, which Brown clearly was, or it could be in an area that may not be in a poverty area, community or neighborhood, but there's a significant number of the population in that specific, like our school. If our school is at 70%, even though the neighborhood may not be that, it could possibly qualify. And I know in the past, they've been discussing Travis as a possibility as far as a middle school that might qualify.
We will be applying for an additional track for Travis.
That's
for this
awesome.
upcoming section.
And again, those two schools out of the six, that would leave us with four. And I know you've had a concern about us doing the tracks.
As long as we're moving
Not making sure
forward.
we can do the others.
Absolutely.
But we can probably knock out one more through the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant through the city.
Because it's not for track, it's really just for PE. I mean, it's for every student at middle school.
The current track that is being built over at Brown is an 8-lane full competition
Right.
track.
Right.
With the proper curbs, the proper drainage on it, but it's an asphalt, and it will be striped as well.
Right.
If
But-
the district ever decides, or the city, to go to an all-weather surface, it's already fully prepped for an all-weather surface.
That's great.
The beauty thing about that is that actually started with the community, the PTO there. And they became very proactive, working with the principal and the faculty and the staff. And it actually started as a walking trail after school. That's what they really wanted, with stations. And the district came up, working with the city, came up with this, enhancement. And from what I've heard, they're very happy. But it's more than they expected. It's a blessing.
If you could put the ag farm slide back up. Do we have a schematic design that says, you know, if we had $1 zillion, our dream, what it looks like? Have we ever done a schematic design, or is this as much as far as we've gotten?
Right now, the only schematics that we have are through
This?
for Phase 1, which is strictly the infrastructure portion of it. We are trying to work to see about getting a prototype put together But the schematic design for the actual building, we will not go into that until we are in phase 2.
The green areas there, if memory serves me correct, they're full of trees, it's very dense with trees.
Yes.
And it's very low lying. The water drains am I wrong? The water drains that direction or the other direction? I can't remember.
The water right now drains towards the smaller green area.
Towards the back.
Towards the
So,
west,
so
yes.
if we were to go in there and do something, we'd have to bring in a lot of dirt I'm just wondering if we've ever thought about pivoting and looking at other property, like maybe it would be advantageous to move the ag farm to like a different area or a different school that has a park next to it, that has a big area, like, I know we were talking about maybe like Bonham or something like that has a bigger area. I know this is very, very north and Bonham is very, very south. But before you go for the naming rights, it might behoove us to do a little kind of a needs assessment and see how much would it really cost to make this our dream ag farm, and would we have a better location someplace else? Because if this is just going to be a money pit because that land is so low and there's so many trees there, we might decide to pivot. It might be interesting. I thought we had already started phase 1. I thought we'd already done the paving, but we haven't done anything. So we're still at a point where I just think that maybe it'd be interesting to see what you come up with.
The other thing too is I don't know if the city would grant us a permit to put animals in the middle of the street. I know we're grandfathered in there.
Yeah.
So I think those people at bottom would be pretty pissed
Yeah.
pretty upset if they were
Yeah.
mooing and.
I think we're grandfathered into agricultural use
Yeah.
in that particular spot. I don't think we can move it. But
Yeah. Well,
it's worth a try getting a variance,
It's
that's for
something that
sure.
we could talk to with the city. I mean, there's an area, a huge tract of land that nothing can be built. Well, it's another discussion. We're going late. Thank you.
Yes. One last comment, Mr. President.
No. Go ahead.
Ruben, kudos to you and your team for all the work that you guys did on the Stride House.
Wow.
It looks incredible. It's going to be a great educational tool for all of our students. And I just want to make sure that you guys get on the record because you guys did that work. So kudos to you and your team.
If mama's happy, then everybody's happy, and a lot of moms were happy there today.